Welcome to the Ask Amanda Show, where we solve everyday problems for the small business owner. Get nuggets of inspiration, access to experts, and answers to those burning questions preventing you from your growth. Here's your host, Amanda Benson Tilch.
This episode of the Ask Amanda Show is brought to you by your hometown high fire area specialist since 2014, Damian White with Farmers Insurance. Damian White has been successful in helping SCV friends and family obtain insurance while others couldn't. With Farmers Insurance and their affiliate partners, Damian has quick turnaround times. They're fully staffed with 2 locations ready to serve you. You can reach Damian by calling 661-394-2802.
Hi, welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of the Ask Amanda Show. I'm really excited once again to be here in the SCV podcast studios with my guest, Alison Lindemann. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Well, you're welcome, but this is a special treat because you've now been with me on every single season.
I'm honored to be back.
The reason why that you're back is because we've said this before. I feel like we could have our own show.
Yeah, we could.
There's literally so much to talk about in the digital marketing space. So let me tell you a little bit about who Alison is in case you don't know. But Alison is a digital marketing expert. She is the owner of WSI, which is your digital marketing agency. Mm-hmm. And we met years ago through that agency.
Yes.
Actually, yep. And still good friends to this day. With 25 years of corporate marketing and consulting experience, Alison partners with businesses to develop effective digital strategies that will grow revenue and improve operational efficiencies. One of the things that I'm really proud about that you have done recently is you have co-authored 2 books with WSI called Digital Minds, and they are filled with so many tips for small business owners.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe later at the end of this,
very fun to be part of.
Yeah, we could figure out how to make sure. I'll drop a link for where people can get them because they are. I mean, I refer to them quite a bit when I meet with my clients. Because you have so much good information in there. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And you've also been a recipient of 3 WMA Web Awards as well. So there's no joke. Her bio is very long. We're not going to spend all this time going over the bio because the topic we're going to talk about today is so much more interesting that I thought it would be... I'm just going to kind of let you lead this, but I thought the reason why I wanted to have you on is because this technology is taking over, and it's really important to get the information out there, educate, my followers, my listeners, all about AI chat or Chatgpt, whatever we want to call it. I know that's one form of it, but why don't you start in by just letting us know what AI is?
Okay.
For those of us don't know.
Giving a little introduction and why, I guess, again, that Amanda invited me to talk about this topic. So just to kind of set the tone, I'm sure most people have heard of AI or artificial intelligence. So I wrote down a really concise definition to kind of start us off. But AI is the ability of a machine to perform tasks that typically are done with human intelligence. Mm-hmm. So things like learning, reasoning, problem solving, the way things are perceived, the way decisions are made. They use algorithms and statistical models. I know it sounds like a whole lot of overwhelming stuff to analyze data and make decisions and make predictions, and it applies to a wide range of applications. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of like the overarching artificial intelligence. You hear it everywhere. You see it all over. Then there is this phenomena that just came out called Chatgpt.
When you say just came out, about how long ago?
So it was released to the public in November of 2022. So you're talking a couple of months ago.
From where we are today.
That's how new it is. So it was developed under a name called OpenAI, which is backed by Microsoft, backed by LinkedIn. Elon Musk was one of the co-founders of that organization, and it's an artificial intelligence research type of organization, and then they developed this Chatgpt. I think it's been a couple of years, like 2019 that started, but only last November did this Chatgpt piece of technology go live.
Okay.
So the first week it came out, it had 1 million registered users, so exploded.
Wow.
Even now, a lot of people that go in still get a message saying, resources unavailable because it's pounded so much.
Okay.
So then by the end of January, I believe there was 15 million searches using it being done every single day. I don't even know what it is now.
Yeah, that's
so it's
crazy.
It's absolutely exploded. In like the tech kind of field, there's the only comparison people are making to a revolutionary technology is when like the iPhone came out.
Okay.
I mean, that's like how, so
Huge
you may
it
not
is.
be sitting there right now watching the show or listening to the show thinking, whoa, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like I got my iPhone, I heard about this iPhone, but it's that big in technology and really almost an everyday use, even as a consumer, is
Yeah.
what's going to happen with these different AI pieces of technology. And so what this particular one is, it's capable of understanding and generating text. It can answer a wide array of questions. It can create creative writing, professional writing, summaries, and all kinds of things that are mind-blowing. So,
So I was gonna say, it's
Yeah.
basically just to kind of dumb it down a little bit so people know where we're going, like where we're starting and
Yeah.
where we're going with it, is that it is a website right now, because I don't think it's an app yet. I think it's just a website that you create. You have a username and a login for
Right.
it.
Yep.
That that then it's kind of like where you would type in some parameters to what you're looking for. So can I just give an
Yeah.
example of how, because I've used it
Yeah.
and I've used it quite a few times. I've used it recently to decline an invitation somewhere, and I wanted to do it very
tastefully.
tastefully. Thank you. Professionally. And so I just typed in, write a letter to decline an invitation, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of put some parameters around it. And dear so-and-so, it literally drafted an entire letter. And so that's basically what it is. We're going to get a little bit more into that, but that's what we're talking about. It's a website that you can type in pretty much
Anything you want.
Anything you want,
So
yeah.
kind of, I guess, as a 101, like if when you jump off watching this and what do I do?
Right.
To Amanda's point, you can go online and you can create an account. It's really just a user ID and a password.
Yep.
That's the free version. This whole thing's beta. So
so there's going to be a paid version
there
at
already
some point.
is. There already
Okay.
is. So I already have and I don't know if they're still offered. So the minute they had this version,
You bought it. Yeah.
within seconds because it was crashing so much.
Okay.
And so in digital marketing and in content creation, what I do for a living, this
Yeah.
is like life changing for us and our clients.
Right,
So
right.
we want access to this as fast as we can. So what they promised with the paid version is that we would have 24/7 access to it.
Oh,
and
got it. Okay.
speedier, like results.
Okay.
And so, but remembering this is like version, I believe 3.5. I mean, all this still is think of it like beta.
Yeah.
So all of this is learning. There's still flaws and things. There's still, it's not perfect. This is them still, they're learning from all of us using it, so this isn't, and I'm sure it will all be a paid, bigger deal and all,
Yeah,
like I said.
I feel like there's some discrepancies in there that says that
yeah.
when you sign up.
Oh
that
yeah.
we're-
So
yeah, okay.
So and just to kind of clarify too, because we're mostly going to talk about the uses like Amanda's already used it for, and how we can apply it in our businesses. But it does all kinds of other things.
Yes.
So it crunches data. You can put in data that you have and ask it to analyze it and give you recommendations. I mean, you could put in like every customer feedback you ever got in a business and have it tell you the common issues or the things that you need to do. You could tell it to write formulas for Excel.
Oh
you
my
can tell it
gosh.
to create an image, an original image. You can tell it to create a video. I mean, I could keep going.
Wow.
So it's well beyond just plain old content creation, and that's
Right.
already amazing.
Yes.
So its uses span way beyond that. But yes, the whole idea of like the chat bot and what we think about chat, this is it on like massive, insane steroids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So, like the chatbot that you usually see that will pop up, in the corner window on a website, like, hi, how can I help you? That's an AI. That's AI.
Right.
That's not a real person. And so that's what I was sort of thinking that this was, but it's like to the millionth
Yeah.
degree because
Yeah.
it is that
and
artificial.
a whole lot more.
Yes.
And I think like
intelligence.
to set up like kind of the foundation for people listening is that I don't know about you, but I know those were annoying. And
Yeah.
for the most part, you didn't feel confident.
They
You
weren't
didn't feel
answering your question, right?
You got
Yeah.
excited like,
Yeah.
original versions of them, or even now live chat. Like we like live chat, and we mostly like it with a live agent because we think, I don't want to call. Like
Yes.
no one wants to call anyone.
Right.
customer support phone call is really crappy.
Yeah.
Like not just wait times, but even their
wait
knowledge.
times.
So you're like, I just want to go on and get a live chat agent and see if they can help me kind
And
of
it's
thing.
also like you can still do a bunch of other things.
Right.
You're not stuck
yeah,
to the
so
phone.
it's efficient and all that,
Right.
right? So then became like the early models of the chatbot, which were not developed on technology that Chatgpt is. And so they were only as good as whatever was fed into them by
Right.
that organization. And it couldn't really understand the semantics of like literally what you said versus what you meant.
Yeah.
And did it
so like you
unless
would
it-
type in, like when you're building it out, you would type in the questions that you think people are going to ask you,
Yeah.
but they might ask you the questions in a different way.
But
That's
this
the challenge.
understands all that.
Yeah.
And this can, just to give examples, kind of jumping in, but you know, you can load all your user guides, all your product information, every question anybody's ever asked you. You can point it to your website and all the FAQs on your site or third-party data and information, and it's going to use all that to actually have a conversation with the user.
Oh, okay.
So it's the amount of information and the semantics and what it understands and how it helps
Yeah.
and how it learns is completely different from those early versions of chat.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that transition, right?
Yeah.
So from the chatbot to now what this actually is. So when you just said that about plugging in all your data information around your business, let's say, do you create like an account for your business? Like how does it remember all of that? So like you could be using this account that the account that I've created, I would use it for multiple businesses.
Yeah. So, you know, my learning is still
Okay.
but let me tell you. So,
Okay.
so it's like any piece of technology. So you can go in there now and use it for yourself under that account.
Okay.
And just in that basic account, you're using it. And of course, if you've used it, you can see that you can save it.
Yeah, all
you
the-
can save it, and
yeah.
maybe we'll talk about it a little later. And you can
Okay.
refine it and all that stuff. But it really isn't integrated with anything. So you get the output, and now
Gotcha.
you're like, what? In fact, it
Right.
doesn't really download that great either.
Yeah,
if you've
that's
noticed
what I was
that,
wondering,
right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
But now they have already this fast opened what's called these APIs. And again, I'm not a programmer, but they've given the code open to the world. And so that's how it does the things that you're thinking about already, because
Got
you're
it.
thinking ahead. So
Yeah.
then you would need a developer to say, I want to use Chatgpt technology and apply it in my business in X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
I want it to be able to do all these customer support things.
Right.
I want it to be able to answer support emails, which it can do nearly perfectly.
So crazy.
But that would be an integration.
Okay, that's
so
right.
A developer, and so that's when you have to look at like, how does that go with my business process? How does that integrate
Yeah.
into my CRM, like my
Okay.
customer database or third party, anything that you're
Wow.
using. But already a ton of third party tools that a lot of us use in business are already either have an integrated version or they're building.
Okay.
So all this stuff's going to come out. Plus,
Yeah.
since this code is available to anyone, a lot of businesses will develop their
Okay.
own chat bots or other Chat GPT technologies
Yeah.
using the code that they're giving you.
I can just imagine where this already
It's going to go,
Yeah, like my brain
insane.
on the apps and technology that I use right now. One of them being Bird Eye, right?
Yeah,
For like
yeah,
reviews and
yeah.
all sorts of things, just texting your clients. I feel like integrating that would be insane. I can already picture how it would
I
respond.
would bet they're working on
I bet
it.
you're right.
You know
I
what
bet you're
mean?
right. In fact, I'm going to call them tomorrow
Yeah.
because I'm just so curious
Yeah.
to know if they are. But anyways, one of those things on that note is that how you could use it. So like right now, one of the questions I get asked a lot from clients is how do I respond to negative reviews?
Yeah,
Like,
that'd
what's
be
the-
a really good. Yeah.
You would just plug in, write a response, and then copy the negative review that you just got into this website, and it will come out with an answer on how you responded. Now, one of the things I'm sure we're going to talk about, but we can talk about right now, one of the things that I think that people need to be aware of is it's not 100%, like maybe your voice or your brand's voice. So that's one thing I would be very wary of for business owners.
But there's solutions.
Okay, I'm sure.
So you can tell it what
Okay.
you want. And so you can say, look at my website and get my voice. Read my branding guide.
Right.
You know, whatever. Here's other things I've written if it's you or your company to go use this same voice.
Jeez, this is going to change
Understand my
everything.
brand and who I am and the tones that I use.
Okay.
You know, this is how I want you to communicate all the rest of everything I do under, let's say that.
That
use
account.
that voice. So
Wow.
you can do things like you know, let's say you're creating a piece of like organic content. It doesn't matter what let's say a web page, okay? A new page, you have something new coming out. You could then go online and look at your competitors.
Okay.
And go, who speaks to this really well?
Okay.
And you could tell it, here's 3 examples that I really like on this topic, and here's my website. So you understand my tone, and write my own web page on this topic.
Wow.
I mean, knowing that you're obviously not, and we'll talk about that too, like tips and things, but we shouldn't be using it verbatim and
That's
not
what I was
having
gonna
any
say.
human. But it is going to
Yeah.
give you an amazing response once you tell it, here's my tone, here's examples. You could upload, here's my white paper on the
haven't
topic,
done
whatever
this
you
yet.
already have, and give it all that too. And then say, and I want 3 choices for a great title. I want the action steps in bullets. I want a concise summary and a call to action. And it'll
my
do
gosh.
it. And when it does it instantaneously. You've probably seen
Yeah,
that.
I've seen it. Yeah.
And then let's say there's a piece of it you don't like, or you forgot something. You can keep that conversation, I'll call it, open with Chatgpt until you get what you want. Have you tried
yes,
that?
I have. So I'm going to give you an
Okay.
example because I just think this conversation is so important, but I know we're kind of probably jumping ahead to some tips, but I had to rewrite a mission statement because it's been years since we've had this one mission statement. And I plugged in the mission statement. I said, write a version of this mission statement, including these 3 words. They're new words that I have developed for this brand's voice. And it did that. And it gave me something beautiful, but it was very long. And I just said, write a shorter version. And it came up with a shorter version. And then I said, break it down into 2 sentences. Like I kept on the same thread and it really did. And then I had all this to choose from to go over with the client. I mean, it was just ways to
Mind-blowing,
use it.
kinda.
Mind blowing. Yes. But I'm super curious to get into where you can kind of develop your brand.
Voice
So I'm
and
going to do
things.
that. Yeah. I'm going to work with that, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to jump
that's
ahead,
okay.
but
I mean, and again, you can state the length. You could
So great.
So let's say, and you can use it to repurpose existing content. So let's say you had a white paper on subject XYZ, and now you need something different. And that white paper is 5,000 words long, but you need a 1,000 word submission on that topic. You can give it your 5,000 and tell you that to rewrite it at 1,000.
Yeah. For example, there is some software that's out there that says that you're only allowed to have so many characters. Like, you know, if you want to write something. So I had drafted this letter and it was like 250 characters too long. And so I just said, make it 500 characters. And it did. And then, but the thing is, where I think a lot of us can get in trouble, and I really want to emphasize this, is to reread it. So like one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody sends an email out and they didn't read.
Proof it.
Yeah, proof it and like personalize it, right? That's one of the things, because it will be very, generic unless you do what you're saying, which is really have it understand your brand's voice. Yeah, your personality. But that's one thing, is I would definitely proofread it, make it your own a little bit. But man, does it give you the guidelines. One thing I'm super nervous about, it's like when the calculator came out, we didn't have to learn math anymore because we just knew
I know
math.
where you're going.
Yeah, right? And I feel like it's going to make us all dumber, or it's going to make us all really smart, like really professional, much more on point, much more getting our questions, being able to answer questions much more direct. And so I don't know, I'm a little iffy about it, because now we don't have to. Look, what's going to happen to school? Like, you can't turn in a paper anymore.
So that's where I thought you were going.
Yeah.
So interesting. Everybody ask if you have a high school or college age child or person in your life, ask them about it, because most people will know right away. College students, they know what it is.
Oh, sure.
And most of them already said, our school put out policies on it. So
but how would they know?
Well, you can even put in a Chatgpt generated content and ask it if it created it.
So they can plug, so the teacher could plug in the report.
And teachers already have like these,
Right.
they already have the software that's existed for a long time on plagiarism. So
Yes,
they already
yeah.
check papers and things like that. So, and again, I'm not the expert on it by any means.
Or what
but
their policy
yes,
is,
It
yeah.
will, and or what their policies
Yeah.
are. And you could look at, that where should it be beneficial? Like in research. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they have to do research anyway. And let's get real. Like think back even to when we were students. I mean, how did we create papers and things? We looked at other
We looked
papers.
it up,
We
yeah.
read books. It's kind of doing the
Yeah.
same thing if you think about
For
it.
sure.
But yeah, it's not researching like
It's just easier. It's like 20 steps less.
yeah,
You don't
but
have
you're
to
still
go.
responsible. And so if you start at, and again, not really speaking as an expert on education or anything, but if we start with the premise of that it's a tool.
Yes.
And so like you already said, Amanda, nobody should be publishing straight up out of it
Right.
anyway, because and that's another area we could offshoot and we don't know the answers, but what are the legal repercussions of this? So like who owns this content?
Yeah.
So this one gets a little crazy. So if it's generating output based on learning from other third-party sources. So I'll make up an example because it can create images for anything. And they consider them like in a way, well, not in a way, but royalty free.
Okay.
Because they're not taking somebody else's, they're not taking images
Sure.
from Getty and then giving them to you or iStock or any of these stock sharing
Photos.
But it's learned from all of them.
Okay.
So its brain, its computer,
Yeah.
algorithm learned from all of these other sites. And so even though it created an image it only gave to you, those Photoshop sites are already taking exception because you know why? It's going to affect them.
Yeah, it's
because we're not
going
going to
to.
buy them from them. We can create our own. And so they're saying you still don't have the rights to give away these images that your AI model learned from looking at all the images that are royalty based images. So who knows
What's
like
gonna happen
where
with
this
that?
is all
Yeah,
going to go.
yeah.
And so back to the whole thing with like plagiarism and all that, so we should be writing. We should be editing those pieces
Yes.
of content. It's gonna change our lives as business owners and content people and people that are in advertising and media and any business, anything, even your internal communication. But just knowing that part of the process is that you wordsmith it and you edit it and you maybe add your own,
Flavor to it. Yeah.
before you publish it, and then you can feel good that like it's yours and you're
Yeah.
not going to have the issues with that.
Well, let's stay on that for a second about the photo. So go just down that same line. Now that this can create photos for you, like on the same topic, is it can also create blog posts for you. It can create your newsletter topics. It can create your YouTube content, like titles and things of like what, so like it's really going to change the way that we work with some of these, other vendors in our lives.
Yes.
And so how do you like, I don't know, what advice do you have?
Where do you get started?
Yeah,
kind
not
of,
kind of where do you get started, but also like, would it still be beneficial to like use a content writer, maybe as the editor of this, or like, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, so they say like that's, programming, content creation, and even some law research are like some of the three of the emerging, like how are they going to impact us?
Yeah.
And they even say even the creative field, like they see it like minimal right now because it doesn't take away like because it's not a human.
Yeah,
It's not a
right.
brain, know? And, so I think it's more of an operational efficiency.
Yes,
And you think of it
that's a
that
good
way.
point.
And so in a way, if I'm a writer, I'm going to use it as a tool because it's going to help me be more efficient in creating content for you if you
Right.
hired me to write,
Right.
using it for research and summarizing. And, so things like if you gave me an outline and I was a copywriter and you wanted me to write 1,000 words, I mean, you can put in that outline. And
Yeah.
I agree with like your question's a good one. Like, where's that line where I go, oh, well, I'm just going to do it myself now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it myself, because there's probably writers that are at the same level,
Yeah.
and maybe Chatgpt is better.
Yeah. Well, I'll
You
tell
know?
you. So, Jason, my previous guest, he gave me his bio because I had asked him for a bio, and he plugged it in. He said, write a bio on da-da-da.
Yeah.
He used it, and we talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I edited it for him because I felt like it was it didn't sound like him. Like I know
Yeah,
him. It
and
was
'cause
like
he
a
put
little,
it in there?
he plugged it in and he just printed it out and gave it to me.
Yeah.
And I had to reorganize it because I
yeah.
just was like, no, this is too.
So it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't,
so
but
that's a good point though. You have to really edit it.
Yeah, but you look at customer service reps. I'm just kind of thinking through some of these,
Sure.
it's some jobs and businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be used for something at another level. So level 1 might be replaced by AI, and then
Yeah.
it's a level 2 that needs an interaction with the person, and again, it has no feelings either.
Yeah.
So.
And all that's disclosed in the front,
Yeah.
like, when you go to
Yeah.
create your account, which is so
and
interesting.
then a crazy little thing about Chatgpt, even though there are other content creation AIs out there already, and because again it's like a beta, it's frozen in time right now at the end of 2021 because that is when they built it. It is not a cloud-based,
Right.
where it understands the world every single day and everything that's happened since then. So everything that's loaded in there basically is back from that time. So if you wanted to talk about the current Super Bowl, the last Super Bowl with it, like it doesn't necessarily know that those things exist,
Okay.
right?
That's
So
interesting. Okay.
that will change, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
I'm
right?
sure.
But that's
a good tip.
in the model, and things like, and who knows how perfect this stuff is. I mean, I've read on blogs and things about people posting problems, but it has filters, and then there's other extensions with filters. So you don't want your kids on there, discussing inappropriate topics, or even like it'll tell you, like if someone was to ask it something that's an illegal activity, it'll say we don't provide information on illegal activities, or whatever. So
Right.
it has filters and things on it. I heard there's like you can have some kind of like a child version of it that
that's
maybe
good.
limits things,
Yeah.
and that, so, but it's like very imperfect right now.
Okay.
But as
But
you know
man,
from
what
using
technology.
it, like to look at how to do our work better.
Yeah.
Like another one, I think the most fun things are talking about all the things you have to just think once you use it. And you, Amanda, too,
Yeah.
it just spawns like other ideas.
For sure. I can't stop. Yeah.
One of my
Yeah.
first ones, I think I told you about it the other day, but I was just like, wow. So I also do work for nonprofits, that, right? And
Yeah.
so we're like doing those things, especially on our own time. And so we don't have the budget or resources to go hire people to do a lot. So, this is a way you look at it to go, oh, how can I do things more efficient and manage my time better? So I was working on an event, right? So a fundraising event. And so I told ChatGPT, here's the 2 pages for the event. It was like the event announcement, this event on this date at this time at this location, come one, come all, tickets are this much. And then the landing page, I think, for the checkout of it. And I said, write a press release. Immediately in the format of a press release, dated, location where I am. It made a great catchy title for the event, and then said blah 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 is pleased to announce they're the I had to fill in some blanks.
But here's my whole point
that's
with that.
amazing.
It's amazing. And here's my whole point with that. And this is why I have this browser open every day, like all day long during my work day, is because you got it that quick. Now, we know people that write press releases, but you've got to get them the information.
Right.
It's going to take them a little bit to read it all. They might call you with a question. You might get it turn around to 2 days or so, right? Like an
Right.
actual press release.
Yeah.
Or you might give
If
them
I'm
a
lucky.
deadline and say, I need it by Friday. And it's, 5 days later, whatever. The fact that you got it done right then and you could check it off your list, it is making us the
way more
users,
efficient.
right?
Yeah.
And now it's done, and you don't have to,
And the format. And so if that's
Yeah.
something that you don't do a lot, like
Right.
I would have to go look up. I mean, I know how to write press releases, but I'm just saying,
get it.
if you're not an agency, like you're like, what's the format? What's the
Yeah.
order of things? What, they allow me to say a little blurb about my business at the bottom. What's the
Right.
format for that? And how many characters? Like, boom, it's already there.
So
it's already
great.
there. And
Yeah.
you're blown away.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I
using
have
it.
been blown away by it for
And
sure.
there's like, it's just popping in my head, but like there's one that I saw the other day that is crazy for travel. And I don't want to take the job away from travel agents or anything,
yeah.
because nothing like hiring a person who's actually been there.
Right,
So,
right.
but another option, this AI is crazy when you put in these dates I'm going here. boom, it spits out everything you need to do with every detail.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so you just think of like your own efficiencies just as a person that you're just, you would have done that yourself. And even though this information is available on Google, not like that.
No, you probably have to. No, you have to do a little research.
Multiple places.
And then what sites are trustworthy. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the downside right now is that you said it's not 100% current, up to date.
Right.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to like appreciate that. And you still have to check. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that if you're writing something where someone is going to ask you to like state your sources and things, like that would present challenges also.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you can like feel sure like it is not literally plagiarizing. So the other thing that's interesting too is like it's not, even though it's using all these other reference materials, it's not pulling exact content. It's just learning from them. So when it creates that on the fly, it's generating new content for you for the first time. It's not assembling existing content from other sources.
So that's good to know.
It's original.
Okay, it's original. That's really good to know. So if you're asking it to write a blog about such and such, it's not going to give you something that it wrote.
It only knows what it knows, just like you and I know. You know what? If you think about it, if I ask you a question right now about something and you give me an answer, you didn't take it from any one thing. It's just from everything that you know from years of reading on that subject matter or working in it. That's what it's doing.
Okay. That's a really great way to explain that. Okay.
Yeah. I just thought of that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were talking about, you know, it's not a human. Yeah. The plagiarism thing, like you got to be careful, and we always should look at rewriting it. And the other thing to me though, I just put in my little notes when I was writing it, but it's not a fad. It's not a fad. Whatever it's going to be down the road is another whole version of this that we don't know today and all its uses, but this isn't going away. Right.
I feel like it's going to be like what Google started out to be, and now it's this.
So that's a great transition to like, so the other thing, like as a digital marketer that is really going to be interesting. Like, for example, like when I've been here before, whatever, like one of the things we might talk about is that it's all about Google. And we would tell our clients it's all about Google. Google represents 80-something% of all searches initiate from the Google search engine. So you go, okay, for Bing, I'll use it as an example because I mentioned Microsoft, right? Yeah. So Bing shares the other 20% with a bunch of other search engines. So you're kind of like, as a marketer, I'm not going to worry about Bing
just go to
and what
Google.
comes up, because the vast majority of people are using Google. And I understand also that Bing comes off the shelf on a personal computer that's a Microsoft product. So the people mostly using Bing are the ones that didn't understand or know to like change their browser. And they could be like a little bit older demographic or less tech savvy. So like if you wanted to market to that audience, you might go, I'm going to go on Bing because I know Bing represents like this demographic, right?
It's a very good point.
But now what's going to happen to Google with Chatgpt? Because you look at, and you know, I obviously love Google and I make a living even understanding Google and how Google works. But if I'm looking at finding XYZ, whatever you're looking for, like we talked about earlier, I've got to then kind of scan the top 10, let's say, search result links on Google's first page, right? And kind of go, and I might go, oh, this part here is good, and this part over here is pretty useful, and I'm trying to pull them together. But now, for example, even now, you can load on your Chrome browser an extension that will show Google search results on the left and ChatGPT on the right. And what it does is it takes all that kind of stuff and gives you the answer. You know?
Yeah, but it's more like technical. So, but it wouldn't like give you a business if you're searching for a business.
No.
Okay.
No. So if you're saying like,
so interesting enough, then maybe Google would be more like a business directory, like in a way, like a really.
Well, and Google's coming out with it too. So of course, Google's been working on their AI, you know, content model, and you know, it's not gotten great reviews so far, you know, so they're behind in that. So I'm sure they're like,
that's so crazy,
squirming right now, you know, and how this is going to affect search and the use of Google and all that. But it's just, if you're looking for content, you know, versus things like you're saying, like directions or that kind of thing, you can get answer that's right in front of you versus having to dig through all that stuff. So are they going to merge? And Microsoft's going to beat Google because Microsoft paired with Chatgpt from the beginning.
Yeah,
so Bing is going to launch it. It's going to happen. So once we understand this, there's going to be a migration to Bing, a way that we don't understand. So they're getting the jump on it. And in my world, we almost thought of, I don't want to say Bing is dead, but it was just not a search engine that
didn't
we're
really take off.
Super focused on.
Yeah.
But this is going to change things.
Yeah. Well, good. Competition is healthy.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
So what other tips maybe can you give us, do you think?
Let's see here. So, I think, like I was saying, I think where to start would be on like the content side, right? And so kind of deciding like where as a business owner, as an individual, like what kind of content do you need?
Yep.
How often do you need it? What, where today you have sources or what you struggle with? Like, do you have content that needs like reformatting or summarizing
or just
putting it into bullets and things like that?
Refreshing like maybe some old content that you have to,
and you could give new content to put in there. But again, like, even think of, we're always talking about like blogging, which again is a great one, but I mean, refreshing your web pages or if you do a newsletter or, any other publishing, and it doesn't have to be digital publishing. It can be offline publishing. Even think of things like if you publish a physical ad in a magazine or a paper, online or offline, it can help you write the ad copy.
So great.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody struggles with.
Yeah.
I think all the things that people really are struggling with as a business owner because it's so hard to outsource all this
and come up with ideas. So like the other thing would be like creativity. So I don't know if you've seen this, and I've only, I'm still playing like everybody else, but so it will even tell you, let's say you have it write a blog post or a web page, it'll even suggest you, and I would put an image of this at the top. Like it'll suggest people doing this at the top, and then a title,
and then
it'll
your content.
So if you ask it the right things, it'll even feed you creative ideas and brainstorming.
Oh my gosh! Just my head's going crazy about like the ways I'm gonna go back and use it.
Yeah, and like I said, like looking at other websites and other sources. I mean, things where like you're like in brain. I don't know about you. Like sometimes I don't know where to start on a piece of content. Like I'll struggle like getting going.
Yeah.
So like you can have it help you get going.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, if you write more of an outline or even bullet points, it can go from there, and you can give it feedback saying, I want this third paragraph rewritten, or can you add this? Or sometimes, I don't know if you've seen this too, it'll cut off. So it has some limitations in the back end where I don't know if it's 1,000 words or whatever, it'll kind of end abruptly.
Oh,
But then you can tell it like, keep going.
Yeah, please keep going. I have done that.
Or you can tell it even if you just don't like what you got, you can just, and without starting a new one, you can say, try again.
Yes.
On the same thing I've already asked you.
It actually has a button right there that you can say try again. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. But writing like ad content and promotions and things that are super hard is really good.
Couldn't it also write write 30 days of social media content for my fitness studio?
Yeah. I mean, but again, the more you put in, the more that it comes out. The other thing that I've tried it on that's super cool is, so let's say you have a complex topic, whatever the subject matter is. It's technical or it's just complex. You can say, please rewrite this at the 13-year-old level.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Or you wanted like a subject. I'm trying to not give you the exact name of this project I'm on, but so it could be even like a social topic, like, like political or I don't know, whatever it is. And you could say, rewrite this whole website for kids.
Yeah.
For kids so that they will understand this issue, because the site's talking at an adult level, but now we want it and then translation is supposed to be amazing. So that's another thing we didn't talk about.
Gosh. Right.
So my understanding is, because I have not tried it yet in my agency, but it is, instead of being literal interpretation, it's it's in the language sentiment, you know,
That's
so like, and it
awesome.
translates in a whole bunch of languages.
So we use Google Translate all the
right.
time.
So that's more literal. So do we.
literal. Yeah.
So do we.
I use it all.
Yeah.
I mean, probably every week. I use
And
it.
so
a
it
lot
will
of language
change
barriers.
the world probably in like, so if a customer agent's speaking with someone, it's going to make the translation with someone
gosh.
way, way better. But then also coming up with, it's hard for all of us. Like if like we build websites, so
Yeah.
like having a language, a version in another language is really hard because to do it right now, you really need someone in that native language to rewrite it the way it should be, not the
Right.
literal interpretation. So it sounds like it's going to explode on language also.
That would be so great.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you like that would be the tips of like, you know, understanding like the basic input formula. So what do you want? Like, what is it? How long do you want it? And your basic tone.
Yeah.
And kind of start from there and then understand that like it will take feedback.
That's
So
so
you
great.
can keep optimizing it and taking the, you know, giving it feedback and
Yeah.
it'll continue to, as I think you've even tried, it'll work out. It'll keep working on it. But again, and the same thing with giving it supporting materials. So then to say, oh, but take a look at this.
Yeah,
Or now I'm
that I haven't
uploading
tried.
that. And I
Uh-huh.
want you to help better understand. You can give it like background to even start with to say, you know, look at all this to understand my niche and the way I write things and understand the technical terminology. And now write for me,
my gosh.
blankety blank,
Yeah.
you know? Then there's things like experimenting with questions, like giving it questions that you want answered, giving it like we use in like the digital world, like keywords,
Yeah.
but actual words. You could even say from an SEO, which we're not going to get into today, but a search engine marketing, you could even tell it, I want you to use these phrases 5 times. You know,
in the content
in
you're
the
writing.
results,
Yes.
in the results, or in the titles,
great.
for example. And we talked about the try again, and then also taking advantage of some of these extensions that are already out there, like the Google one.
Okay.
And that's not Google didn't develop it; it's
Yeah,
just an
just
extension
add
for
on,
Chrome,
yeah.
where it shows you Chatgpt results
Yeah.
next to your search results.
That's so mind blowing.
Then there's Chat GPT Writer, and that one specifically put in your browser, like as you're answering questions of people. So like customer support
Okay,
and things. So
okay.
it'll give you like
Yeah.
answers on the fly to it.
Okay.
And then, here's a dicey one, I think. So Engage AI. So what that does, so let's say I believe it's really backed by LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a partner.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're someone who's a thought leader on LinkedIn or following the thought leaders, because that's what you do as part of social engagement, right? So you've got to follow thought leaders and interact, be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And the more you get engaged in social media, the more time it takes because now I'm not just publishing, I'm engaging. Now I've got to monitor
Yeah.
and listen and be part of the discussion.
Right.
Will this Engage AI, I believe, I don't know if it goes to other platforms, but I've seen it in LinkedIn. So it will follow your thought leaders,
Wow.
consume the content for you, and post thoughtful interactions.
But okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very helpful, but that's crazy. But you still have to be reading it. Like that's my biggest
100%.
Right. That's my biggest pet peeve when like people are like, "Oh, can you do my social media? Can you do my-"
Right.
It's like, yes,
Agreed.
I can do it to the point where I can teach you how to do
Yeah.
it, but you need to be looking at what who
Right.
I'm liking, who I'm responding to, and the conversation, because if you run into this person in public,
Yeah, what's
or
gonna
in another
happen?
forum,
And plus
you need to know what you've said.
This AI
Yeah.
it looks like you're
Wow.
publishing it.
That's
So
crazy.
you would have to own whatever
Yeah, it's sane.
right.
You have a
And-
lot of trust in that.
And if you're using it like I do, I'm also learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning from consuming content. So if I have a chat AI doing it for me, then I didn't take in the learning.
Yeah, you're not learning.
It's just so this it's going to get dicey.
Yeah.
These are going to be interesting discussions
Yeah.
because it's representing
Yep.
It's representing
You.
us in some
Yeah,
cases.
it's
So we have to
business.
be really careful because some of them sound super cool.
Yeah.
But do we want people to take over, our persona?
or or it's
or
not
our
not
business.
it's not a people, but right.
An artificial intelligence model to take over who we are,
Yeah.
you know? But I do think, you know, there's going to be a lot of innovation come out around the whole customer support.
I think
you
you're
know,
right.
and so if it knows the answers and they're this is how you do A and B, you know, when you have this problem, you take these actions. I think it could be, because people like us, like everybody's busy. If we trusted those things, we'd ping them.
Yeah,
versus
for sure.
waiting for a person who's not well trained in things and doesn't care.
Yep.
I just need the answer to my problem.
Yes.
So I can move on with my day.
Yeah.
And so this has the capability to do all that.
That's
you know,
so
so
remarkable.
looking at how,
Okay.
you know, developing knowledge bases and things for as a company where people can self-administer getting what they actually wanted.
It can be writing like sales scripts for you.
Oh, there's a lot of So
I'm just thinking about like
Yeah.
on the day-to-day use of like
Yeah.
how it would really benefit you right now as you're with your company. What are you struggling with right now? So like type in that and see what it comes up with a solution.
Yeah. I mean, you can put in things like already, like, what do you think are the best marketing initiatives for
this business,
a plumber,
Yeah,
or whatever it is?
right.
I mean, it'll tell you what it thinks, you know,
crazy, yeah.
but you can start.
I mean, Google's
generic.
the same, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
what are
yeah.
the top 10 things a
Yeah.
plumber should be marketing
Yeah.
or whatever? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's probably the best place to start.
Yeah.
Is just looking at your content and figuring out. And you know, Google, even though it sounds like we got the scare tactic on Google conversation, but I mean, Google loves content more than ever now.
Yeah.
And that includes, you know, videos and images and other things. So using this to produce content to make Google happy is a really good strategy. I mean, it can even, the other thing too, we didn't talk that much about that I still think is really helpful and not the heebie-jeebie thing like responding for LinkedIn. I mean, I call it Cliff Notes because that's my era. It can Cliff Note anything. So, you know, if it's hard for us to keep up on every little thing, and let's say we're going to be part of a discussion or we want some background, I mean, it can give me the high points of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Help me understand this.
That's great.
You know, using that to summarize lengthy things.
Well, let me give one tip of how people can use it like right now, especially if you're a small business owner and you struggle with creating content for social media and or your website. I would take the content that you've posted a while ago, as long as it's still relevant, and just have it rewrite it. And now all of a sudden plug in a blog that you have, the current blog that you have, and say, break this down into 4 social media posts.
Yep.
I mean, just dumb it down a little bit and get on there and start using that.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up, what are like maybe, because that's one tip somebody can use, like what are some other quick tips that you think that would benefit? And we've shared so much already.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think things like you're saying, even outdated content.
Yeah,
like,
repurposing content.
And using it to refresh things.
Yes.
And giving it additional sources to use to keep it updated.
Yep.
But
Okay.
even there's just the everyday, you know, you can just even, once you start using it, just as a person, as you go throughout your day, you're going to get ideas of things that you can ask it to do.
Man, writing S&Ps like you're, oh my gosh.
It'll write marketing plans. I mean, it's just kind of crazy when you start
really exciting.
Thinking about all the things, but just still knowing, like, don't forget the human element in things.
Yes.
Like we still have to, you know, put our touch on it. And wherever you publish it, whether it's a blog or somewhere else, like, you're so responsible for that content.
Yeah.
You know,
and you should know it. You know, that's the
Yeah.
other thing. Like, know what you're, like, you know, I do have somebody that I outsource writing a blog for one of my clients, but I read it all the time.
Right.
So it's like, I want to be in the loop.
Proofreading hasn't gone away.
But it's also my absorbing that.
It is amazing
information.
also as its own tool to proofread.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if someone's writing for you or you're an employee or something, like you use it, it's really good at proofing and
So
editing
good.
your content.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know,
This has been super helpful, very eye-opening. It's almost a little scary, but it's so also like just crazy.
It's
like,
just emerging.
and
so
it's
yeah. And I think, like, it's great that you have this show and that you're that forward thinking, because we will get behind really fast if we don't jump on this, because the world, it's going to happen as business owners around us.
Yeah.
And this baby step to maybe look at it from a content perspective is how you're going to get your toes in the water, because you'll want to end up figuring out how to use it to help build operational efficiencies.
Yeah.
And it is customizable. So today, no, that's not quite where we're at yet.
I will tell you another tip too, is that, I've been trying to do a newsletter forever, and I just can't keep up with it because I do so many other things. I've been using it to help me create content for my newsletter. Yeah. Done and easy, you guys. Like, this is easy stuff. So, like, just try to think about what we've talked about. Go online and check it out. Create an account. Get in on it. I'm going to go check out the paid version. Yeah. Because I feel like
$20 a month.
I would use it for...
Get it now in case that gives us some benefit later when they come up with something that's probably going to be more expensive.
It's so great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is there any one little last thing that you want to throw in before we...
The things that what I was going to say is that even though it's a little scary about the images that we talked about and who's going to own it, it still has phenomenal image editing and things that maybe today, like a small business, like you don't have subscriptions to a lot of the image editing software and Photoshop and Illustrator and things. I mean, you can literally give an image and say, take the dog out of this. Or take my own dog and put a picture of outer space and the moon and these crazy things, and it'll immediately edit your photo.
That's so crazy.
So like play with it's fun. Okay. It's fun to play around with too.
I haven't tried to upload anything to it, so I will. Okay. Well, thank you so much for all of this.
You're welcome, Amanda.
This is
I always
too
love
fun.
being here.
I know. It's so fun. I feel like we could go forever, but I'm watching the clock and we're hitting our mark. So it's very easy for us. So Alison, really quick, where can people find you or connect with you if they've got further questions, or if they want you to look at their website, or if they need some help with running any, ads and putting together a strategic plan for their business?
No, thank you for asking.
Well,
the easiest would be our website, which is wsiebiz.com. Or just giving us a call, and our office number is 661-255-8292. Thank you so much,
thank
Amanda.
you. And I highly recommend, working with Alison. She's helped me create my brand's website, and probably 3 or 4 other websites that I run on a daily basis. So I'm very connected to you, but I only work with high quality professionals. So I just highly recommend, if you need somebody just to really even talk about your business and where to go, maybe next steps, if you're thinking about a new website, or if you're thinking about advertising online. She's so smart, smartest woman I know. So utilize that. You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time, I guess, on my next episode. Thanks for listening and watching.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do you have a topic you'd love to hear about? Or is there something you want to ask Amanda? Make sure to comment below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when we post new episodes.